Hello and welcome to the Fit and Fabulous podcast. I'm your host today, Brooklyn Goodsell. Here alongside with my co-hosts, I have my mom, Camille, who is also a coach for Fierce Queen Fitness. We have Amanda here, who is also a coach for Fierce Queen Fitness, and Coach Dakota, who also is a coach for Fierce Queen Fitness. Today, we are going to be diving in and talking about the comparison complex and how we see as coaches and even in our own personal journeys of how sometimes comparing yourself to other women and other people in their journeys can be detrimental to your own progress. So we're going to talk about our experiences and how we've overcome this and how to overcome this for yourself and how to continue to see progress. So let's go ahead and start from the very start. Why we compare ourselves. So I see this like even in Brecken, like he's 7 years old, and I see with him as soon as like those babies are born, what do? We start comparing their weight, their height to other babies, right? Then they get into the school system. What do we start doing? We start comparing their grades to other children. So it's really natural for us as humans, as women, to compare ourselves to other people because we've literally been doing it since infancy and adolescence. Like it's been going on for a large part of our life. So it's very natural for us to compare ourselves. However, when it comes to your body, when it comes to your fat loss journeys or your muscle gain journeys or whatever it is, it's not fair. It's not a fair playing game. So we also live in a world where women are all over social media. I mean, geez, you go look at mine. I post pictures of me in my competition suit and competing. And yeah, I can see how it's really easy to compare yourself to other women because I also get stuck doing it. But the one thing I will say that's not fair is we don't understand or know that, maybe their genetics, maybe their hormones, maybe their training history, maybe their calorie intake, their stress levels, their life, like what are they actually dealing with in their lifestyle, and what the cost it actually takes for them to look like that, like not just from a financial perspective, but like what are they doing, like the drugs they're doing, like medications they're taking. So I want to talk about this today because I think it's really important, especially in today's world of Ozempic, and even in like the bodybuilding space. I see this, like women taking like anabolic steroids and all of these things. We're going to talk about like why it's just not fair for you to keep comparing yourself to that woman on social media who may be the same age as you, but things might be really different under the hood, right? So let's talk about it. I don't know, you guys go ahead and jump in and what you notice either with your clients or what with yourself with this whole thing.
Well, I had a girl come up to me today, and this happens sometimes. And she's just like, I just saw your social media. I like, you look amazing. I wish I could build muscle. And we were kind of talking. I'm like, but you look amazing. And, you know, I love how you say everybody's different because, there are some women that they just don't have the hunger cues. I think some women, we have a lot of hunger cues, like we think about food a lot more. And so it's hard to be comfortable in the skin you're in, but it's really important to appreciate your body and just look at you and what you can do. And so that was important to talk to her because I'm like, you look amazing. Like, you look incredible. And like, I work out a lot and I track my food. And I just think it's important not to compare yourself to others, but to look at your own body. And I remember when I first started this, I would look at certain people. I'd be like, well, what caused them to go from this to this? And it's such a mindset. And when you start realizing they got to stop worrying about what other people think, and they just push forward. But I think it's really important to look at your body and your genetics. Genetics are huge. I have a different body shape than some people. I don't build, my lower body is easy. My upper body builds a little bit easier. And so everybody's got a different body. We all have different genetics. And it's important to appreciate the body you've been given and just start working with that. I think that's really important. So, yeah, I'm just going to start off with that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. I love that.
Well, and like me, my mom, and Brooklyn, we're all related, and none of our body types look the same. They may be
That's true.
similar in aspects, But the way that I put on muscle versus how Brooklyn puts on muscle versus my mom, very different. And so
That's
like
true.
it doesn't help you to compare yourself to somebody else. Like I could spend all day comparing myself to Brooklyn and my mom and be like, "Oh, Brooklyn's got a longer torso than I do. I have a very short torso." And like if I were to compare myself to how I look to Brooklyn, like it just doesn't do me any good. It just doesn't. And it's same with like I think a big thing, especially people my age, younger, even older, social media, people post their highlight reels and they post the highlights of their life. They post the pictures that they look best in. So why are you comparing yourself to somebody's best and to somebody who, your body is just never going to look like theirs because you're your own individual, which is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I
love
love
that.
them.
Yeah, thank you, coaches, for sharing that. Dakota, I love that you said that. Nobody is you, and that's good. That's not a bad thing. We're all very unique, and that's why there's not one size fits all diet, and that's why it helps to get a coach. Because if social media taught us anything, I'm sure if you looked at just a few different pages, you'll notice they all say something completely different. Like one person's like, "Oh, I eat 3,000 calories a day, and I am shredded," and another one's like, "I eat 1,000 calories a day, and I'm shredded." Then you're like, "What? Like, what do I do?" It's very overwhelming, very confusing. Even from a coach perspective, I look at this and I'm like, no wonder why women are like, I don't know what to do because it works different for everybody. And that's exactly what it is. That's where having the right support, a coach who understands your uniqueness, individual needs, challenges, your genetic makeup, your metabolism, if you're a chronic dieter, all that comes into play. And that's why you are unique. So don't compare yourself to that girl on social media. She may be blessed with a certain figure without trying as much as you, or she may have an eating disorder. You don't know. She's not going to post that. It's really sad because I've seen a lot of women that post pictures, and then I see the same woman post, well, I was under eating and now I lost my period. And these other girls follow them, so they were doing her diet. So you can't trust everything you see. It's just a picture. There's so much editing, there's a lot. Like in Coach Dakota said, you're seeing their highlight. And now then you look in the mirror and you look down at your stomach and you're like, well, I don't look like that. Well, mostly they don't look like that either. They're not going to show you the days that they're bloated, their jeans are leaving an imprint on their stomach. They're not going to show you that. So we'll let you know. As coaches, I know that Brooklyn, Dakota, and Camille, I know we're very real with our clients. And I'll be like, hey, I'm very bloated today. I'll show you a picture. I have no problem because we're all women and we all have our days.
I love that. Yeah, I think just, social media, unfortunately, I feel like there's been a lot of good from it, but also like the downside is the comparison and, looking at everybody else and like you guys said, their highlight reels. Like, oh, I wish I could look like that. But, here's the thing too, is like, yeah, I'll have women even say to me, they're like, well, I'd love to look like you. And I'm like, honestly, like, you probably won't look like me. Like this is my body. And honestly, there's times I wish I looked like this other woman, but I'll never look like her because that's her body. The only thing you should strive for is to like have the best physique for your body and work towards that. But like if you're constantly like, I look at my mom eats a shit ton of food. She's shredded as
She
shit.
does.
Like she eats
She
so
eats
much.
so
And
much.
if I ate as much as you did, mom, I would gain weight really fast. Like I would be really, honestly, I'd be really overweight right now. I can't get away with eating that much food. I've never been able to eat. I eat a decent amount. I eat like close to 200 carbs a day and, 50 fats and like, I think my protein's at like 150. Yesterday I had like 250 carbs, but I can feel it today. I'm really bloated. So like that's the thing, like you are comparing yourself to someone who might have a better metabolism than you. They might have better hormonal health than you. Even though my mom is my mom, I don't have her full genetics. Unfortunately, I have my dad's genetics too. The plus side of my dad's genetics is I build muscle really well and really easily. All I have to do is eat in a caloric maintenance and take creatine. and I can build my legs. Like I can build my legs super, super well. But one thing I struggle to do is get like crazy shredded on high calories. I can't do that. And it's not fair. Like there's definitely times like when I've been with mom when we've been doing shows and she's out there like eating her 500 grams of carbs that day and like a burger and like all the
She's like,
sugar.
I'm almost out of honey. I'm almost out
I'm
of
Yeah.
oatmeal. I'm
sorry.
like, well, mom, I
And
have
me
more.
like I get
I
one more
can't eat
rice
it
cake
all.
today because I'm on like no carbs.
Oh,
Yeah. So like even between me, my mom, and Dakota, like we all have different bodies, like not just from a physical standpoint, but the way that our bodies respond to fat loss. Like my body does
mhm,
not respond to fat loss in the way that my mom's body. My mom will like eat something over high calorie and she'll like drop weight the next day. I do that
Hmm.
and I will put on 5 pounds for 5 days. Like that's that I feel like that's more common for most women, but for my mom, like she's I don't know, you've got like a crazy metabolism. And it's not like you take anything crazy or anything. Like you're I don't know, you've always been like that though.
I'm just older and I've been through a lot of menopause. I've been through anxiety. I think I've learned a lot. My body has healed a lot, but also I look at my girls and I'm like, oh, I wish I could build muscle like them. So I think
See?
all of us wish we
Comparison,
could
right?
do. Well,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, we just all, I wish I could build muscle better. I work my ass off and my ass still, like, I wish it was bigger and fuller and rounder, but it's just not in my genetics. Like my mom and
Big
dad
butts and
both
a
Mom,
have.
your
cannot last.
no, your butt is you are
It's
working on
growing.
your butt and it is getting there because I
It's
remember
But
growing.
the last time I
but
saw
mom, you
you in
gotta also
leggings, I was like,
remember
dang.
you grew up in the 90s and the
Flat
80s and
butts.
flat butts were the thing. And me and Dakota's
Hmm.
generation, I mean, I can remember was doing hip thrusts with Dakota like a decade ago when we were training together. We were training heavy legs. And so there's also that too, right? Like we have like 10 years of heavy legs on you. And that's where like comparison doesn't come into play because you can
No,
look at someone and be like,
you
I
can't.
want to look like that, but you have no idea how long they've actually been working towards that
That's
for,
That's
you
very
know?
true. Like, and also genetics is huge. Like, we
Hmm.
have different body types, all of us, all four of us. And like, I work on my glutes a ton and my hams, but my strength is my upper body. I have amazing upper body. I can build
Yeah.
and get pretty lean and toned in my upper body, and I can work my ass off. And it's still just, it's still just little teeny glutes. And um, and I can beat myself up over that, but or I can also just look at myself and say, I look pretty good. I look pretty good. But still, it's like comparing yourselves and your own bodies. Like both my parents have flat butts. Like both of them do. Like I'm really lucky to have them, but that just kind of comes down through my
I'm
line.
really lucky to have that. Yeah.
Where is this going?
Thanks for the flat ass, but I love you guys.
I know. And they're great. I love my parents, but it's just some of those things we
Oh,
get passed down to us is our genetics.
that's funny. That's funny you
You
caught
guys
on to
are
that,
great, but
Brooklyn,
the
because I
flat
was
ass
like,
thing was
what is
not
she
okay.
saying?
They do. They like concave. And all of my sisters, all of our ass is
Mom, I
concave.
also got that. Don't you remember what my nickname was growing
Yep.
up? Butt
Yep.
crack Brookie.
Yep.
That's true. I also one thing that people don't recognize is like the sports you play in high school. I played basketball. There's a lot of sprints that go
Yes.
into that, and
Yeah.
me prepping for that, like it was kind of a year-round thing. And so I would do sprint type exercises throughout the whole year. So I've always had a butt, and that for me is a strong
You
point.
She
But
does
you
have a
had
nice butt.
your muscle density grew because you were doing sports and then you would do like
Hmm.
wakeboarding and then you were always really
Yes.
athletic. So you built your muscle young too. Where like I didn't really build my muscle until like I started lifting weights and like when I was like 18, you know?
Yeah, but I'm still small and like my muscle insertions, especially on my shoulders, are long, and so the appearance of it is different too. Like
That's
now I'm talking
true.
about like
Very
physical,
true.
but and so that it varies for
I
people.
like
It's like
that.
somebody that has like short muscle insertions, they've got awesome shoulders,
Hmm.
and it's just
That's a good
it's
point.
all in genetics.
And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
anatomy too, because like, this is a good point,
Hmm.
Dakota. I think this is something we can talk about for a minute because I don't think women understand muscle insertions. They also don't understand like people's height too. So my best friend, who I also train,
Yes.
she has like crazy muscle insertions. I mean, this girl, we started training delts, and I swear her
Yes.
delts grew like 10 times the size of my shoulders in like 3 months. And it's
Crazy.
because she has these little short muscle bellies. Her muscle inserts like really high on her delt. It inserts like up here and up here. So it gives her these really bubbly shoulders. She's also 5'3", 5'4", and so she's really she's much shorter than me. I'm almost 5'8". I'm really tall. I also have long muscle insertions, and so to build my delts up, I've had to eat and train, but they're still like pretty small compared to where I, would think they are. Same with like my glutes and my hamstrings. Like my girlfriend, same thing. Like I was training her and she'd never touched a weight like really much at all until I started training her. And within 6 months, she had these beautiful glutes that were well developed. And it's honestly, it was because of her. She had these genetics that are crazy. Like she has these teardrop glutes. And I'm like, man, I worked like 7 years to get mine to look like that. And that took her 6 months. So we also have to remember like some people do genetically, and I'm not saying this to discourage women, but in like the sport of bodybuilding, you'll see this a lot, that genetically do have better insertion points,
Mm-hmm.
which means the place their muscle, Dakota, the delt was the perfect example. The place that like her delt inserts, it's much higher. Maybe the place that like her quads insert, it's a little bit in a better spot. Maybe these women too, maybe they hold a little less body fat, so like it's not fair to compare yourself to women from a muscle perspective, from a like a lean perspective. Because let me tell you, I've
Hmm.
had clients I've worked with that are both sitting at 15% body fat, and one looks shredded as shit, and one looks like she's closer
Looks
to
different.
20% body fat,
Mm-hmm.
and it's because of the way their body holds and distributes fat. So from like a coaching perspective and from an anatomy perspective and like a physiological perspective, like comparing yourself doesn't really make sense because those muscle insertions are different. The way they hold body fat is different. Um and it's just like that was really good, Dakota, because I feel like a lot of women don't understand. I have to explain that to my clients sometimes too. Like, well, why is it that
It's
your one
something that's
client
not
like
talked about.
no, they don't,
It's
nobody
not
talks
talked
about
about.
it.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. Yeah. So anything else you guys
Sorry, I
notice as
interrupted
far as
you.
that goes? No, you're good.
No, I love that you said that, Dakota. Nobody talks about that because on social media, it's all like the glam, like eat less, move more, you look like her, or what I eat in a
Yeah.
day. And it's like certain women could eat the same amount of calories as someone who's the same height, same weight, same build, be just as active. They're not going to look identical. And it's nothing they're doing wrong. But like you said, we're all unique. Our
Hmm.
genetic makeup and where we store fat and muscle and how quick we put muscle on. Um, it's interesting because I didn't understand like what a mesomorph was, ectomorph, endomorph before I was introduced into Fierce Queen, and I'm like, what is this language? Like, what does this mean? And it's about like how quick you put muscle on versus fat. And I was going to the chiropractor for years, and my chiropractor, he knows my entire family, and he looked at my mom and goes, my sisters and I were in the room. He goes, you guys got some major muscle stock like naturally. And then we're like, what? My mom's like, we cattle? What do you mean muscle stock? And he's like, I push on people's muscles all day. He goes, you guys are like rock hard.
Ooh.
He's like, you can put on muscle like very easily. And I was like, huh. He's
Thank
like, so
you.
don't go. Yeah, and he was like, don't go by the scale because your girls have a lot of muscle naturally, which is great. So that made me feel a lot better because if you go by the BMI chart and the height and weight chart, that can really derail a lot of women. I know a lot of clients come to me, they're like, well, I don't fit in the height weight chart. I'm like, I don't think anyone does. If you're
Mm-mm.
lifting, especially weights, you're not gonna because it doesn't take in, it's so outdated. It doesn't take an effect if you're lifting your water, your tension, I mean, there's so many factors. Those are so outdated. So don't stress about that. That's why a coach can help you understand like your actual body fat, like where what's healthy for you and not just, well, you don't measure up on this chart. It's like crazy. So ever since I was told that like your body puts muscle on quick, and I started seeing that through Fierce Queen, I was like, Like my lower holds a lot more fat and pear shaped. So I'm actually like envious of you girls. I look at your flat stomachs when you like cut, and I'm like, I don't really get a flat stomach. I hold on to more weight there, but I have a bigger butt. So it's like everybody's got their thing. It's funny. We're all like in our own heads, like, oh, I want to look like her. But meanwhile, she's looking at you like, well, you got a butt. And I'm looking at her like, well, she's got nice flat abs. So it's funny how we're all just so in our own heads, not realizing we're all very unique and we all are awesome in our own way.
Yeah, I love that.
That is,
Hmm.
I love that you said that we're all very unique. I remember when I first started competing and I'm like, oh, I just work so hard on my butt and it's just not building. And remember my trainer would be like, Camille, but look at all your strengths. Like, look at everything that you like you're good at. And like he would just keep telling me that over and over. And it's important to have somebody in your corner that tells you that because we look at ourselves and we see everything that we're not achieving. But if we can have somebody say, hey, look at you. Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, just you got to start remembering all your strengths and all the things that you're good at. But the things that your body does for you are incredible. Even getting injured is frustrating. And you can even talk to your body and say, oh, this is my bad knee. And then I'll immediately click it back and I'll be like, nope, this is my good knee. It's worked so hard for me for so many years. It works so hard every day. Just need to start putting those good thoughts and those good words into our head because our body's listening. And it's very important. So, yeah, we are very unique. We have
Yeah.
many, many strengths.
Yeah. I recently had a client who actually started um just talking to me, and she's just kind of just like venting about like, oh my gosh, my neighbor X, Y, and Z doing this diet, lost 15 pounds, and I was like, hey, why are we focusing so much on our neighbor? Like, let's talk about yourself and the positive things that you're doing day to day. And I was like, actually, since you started with us, you've also lost 15 pounds, and this is what you're doing. Like, she was so caught up in what her neighbor was doing that she forgot to recognize the great things that she was doing day to day and the progress that she was making. So we had to kind of like refocus that and, kind of come back and be like, hey, pay attention to what you're doing. Let's stop focusing on our neighbor. And her neighbor was doing, a fad diet. So then a few months later, it was funny. She actually came back to me and was like, my neighbor gained all the weight back. And she's like, but I've kept it off, And so that was like, yeah, see, pay attention to what you're doing, not what your neighbor's doing. It's like the perfect example.
I love
Um,
that. That's huge. I like that you're like kind of coming back full circle here to Coda is because like it's really easy to get stuck in, and I do this too. Like I will lie to you guys. I can't tell you I'm coming into doing like my first pro show in April and I'm scared shitless. Like I've been having a lot of like negative self, like a lot of self-doubt, a lot of like, oh my gosh, like this is going to be scary, and I'm like,
you
this
have
person looks
imposter
better than me.
syndrome.
This
Knock it off.
imposter syndrome, right? And I think a lot of women experience that when, like, I had a girl message me and she said, I really want to do your program. I just have a lot of self doubt. And a lot of that self doubt comes from fear of failure. It comes from a place of like not thinking you're going to like achieve it. And also, like, yeah, you're right. An imposter syndrome of like, I don't like, is this really what I should be doing or this who I am? And a lot of that has to coming back to a place of gratitude and also coming back to a place of like, look how far I've actually come in my journey and the hard things I have accomplished up to this point. I know Jordan always has to like realign me with that because I'll like start spiraling around him. I'm like, well, did you see this girl and this girl and this girl and this girl? Like, I'm all going to be competing against them. This girl's super jacked and this girl's got like really good glutes and like great shoulders, and I look like a little shrimpy shrimp next to them. And he's like, no, like this, that. And I'm like, okay, you know what? This is exactly what I teach my clients not to do. So like, I know like women probably look at, someone like Dakota, me, Amanda, my mom, and they're probably like, you probably never have problems with this. No, we do. We definitely do. It's just a matter of like, sometimes we get stuck in those places, right? How many of you guys like have admittedly gotten stuck for probably too many hours? I know I have, where I'm like, go away negative thoughts. Like, and it's not just saying go away negative thoughts or
Mm-mm.
stop comparing yourself. It's, I need to look at how far I've actually come. So for women who are struggling with the comparison, I would recommend and challenge you to look back at where you started and where you are now. If you don't have a reference point and you're just starting your journey and you're dealing with a lot of fear, like for me, my reference point for competing as a pro, I have zero. I literally have zero reference points of competing as a pro. And that's why it's scary for me, because I've never done it before and it really scares me. Like it really truly does. I've never done something like this before at this level. And so I have a lot of imposter syndrome. I have a lot of self doubt. I have a lot of negativity. So all I can do to help myself with that is go back and say, look, Brooklyn, this is what you accomplished. You did this hard thing. You overcame this hard thing, and you pushed through some of these fears. And so I feel like for a lot of women who are struggling with the comparison complex, that's what you have to do. You have to reflect backwards, and you have to go back to like where you were and where you are now. Whatever place that is coming from, like whether it be from, because I know for a lot of women when they're starting their journeys, they're like, I just don't know if I can do it. I've never done it. It's like, well, yeah, if you keep telling yourself that, that's probably true. But if you say, I'm just going to do it, I'm going to give it my all, I'm going to have a good coach in my corner, you'll make it happen. So for you guys, like what helps you overcome this comparison complex and like comparing yourself to really anybody or whoever you're comparing yourself to?
Brooklyn, I feel like you brought up a really good point in that, like, yes, you don't have a reference point as a pro, but so you have to reflect on, okay, I've come this far in my competing career, like this is super cool, and reflecting that way. But another thing that, to help you keep out of the comparison thing is think of the steps that you're taking to make sure that you show up your very best. You're working on your posing consistently. You're making sure that your suit is the correct fit. You're making sure that your your nutrition is where it needs to be. And you have a great coach who's going to help you get there. So it's reflecting backwards, but also thinking, okay, what am I doing now to take the steps that I need to be where I want to be?
Yeah, no, I love that. You're 100% valid. Like the action, like instead of getting stuck, because I feel like when you start comparing yourself, it's almost like you feel stuck and you have no control. And feeling like loss of control, like for me, it scares me shitless because I'm like a control freak. So, like the feeling of loss of control, it's like, oh my gosh. But like, actually, how much do you have control over when you're working towards a goal? You have a journey. Maybe you're comparing yourself. Like Dakota mentioned, our nutrition, my mindset, right? My training, um, my sleep, like,
Sleep.
controlling the controllables that you have. I love that. Thanks for bringing that up, Dakota.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
controlling the controllables. That's a good sum of that. Yes. Yep.
Well, and I love that, like when I very first started, I mean, and I've done a lot of different things, like different training and stuff through the years. I'm 57 now. So, um, I love the phrase trust the process. Like as you're starting something or you're in the beginning phase of it, you've really got to just look at it and like, this is going to be so cool. And you just have to do it day by day. I mean, it's the little teeny tiny steps. And I remember when I first started, it was not having something hurt so much. And then I'd be able to do it a little bit heavier the next day, or I'd be able to do one more rep the next day, or I'd be able to go for, 45 minutes instead of a half an hour. I mean, I started slow with my training. Same with my eating. I started it slow. I had to learn the process of doing the macros and tracking. You just start out slow, and everything is a huge win. Like they're all just huge because they all add up. And day by day, you just keep getting better and better. So that is a huge phrase. I remember saying that to myself every single day. And then I would look at myself like the week before. And I love graphs and I love keeping track of stuff because I can look back on even last year and I'm the same weight as last year, but my waist is smaller and my muscles have grown. And so it's those things to me are really cool is kind of, I know it's so cool, but to just keep track and look back at your progress. And if you have a coach that will be like, check this out, like this is what you're doing now versus like a couple weeks ago. And those things are just huge. I mean, to me, little wins are huge, especially in the beginning and especially as we keep going because things can get you off track no matter what happens? They can just throw us off track. And so little wins are just huge along the way. But yeah, trust the process. To me, I'm always like a
Yeah.
mindset girl, because to me, if you can get your mind there, your body will follow. Your body will always follow that mind. And we all struggle with the mindset and having negative things in our mind, and we just have to get rid of those and look at like where we've come and how far we've come. And so those are a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
that.
I love that you said trusting the process, but also not only just trusting the process, but falling in love with the process, falling in love with what you're doing day to day, or else you're not going to continue to do it. You know,
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's got to
falling in
be
love with the
sustainable
fact,
too. Like it's
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, small little
like it,
goals are important. Small little goals. And
Hmm.
every time you reach them, like give somebody a high five at the gym, or like, hey, I did this. Like,
we know
like
you totally do, Mom.
yeah,
I
I
love
do. I
that.
mean,
Love the energy.
those
She
things are
always is
so
like that.
cool
So great.
because that enters your body and that excitement, and it gets you more excited. So yeah, definitely get excited.
Yeah.
I love it, Coach Dakota. I love how you came back around full circle with your client when they started to look externally and be like, "This is what this person's doing," and you're like, "Okay, you're not measuring backwards yourself." So that's a big thing I learned at Fierce Queen. Like, if you have the right coach, they'll help you with your mindset because really, I feel like that's bigger than just calculations of, fat loss. Like, oh, here's your calories. That part is very simple to understand. It's the mindset that we put ourselves in and that we get stuck in because we've been in it for so long. So you need someone that's going to be like, wait a minute, you lost 15 pounds in a few months. So why are we talking about
Like,
this
oh yeah,
still? Like, yeah, and it's funny because as women, we
well, I
forget
did.
how hard we work. Yeah, like I was talking to a client today. It was very similar to what you said, and she was not talking about someone else, but she was like, well, I'm not losing weight super rapidly. But then I said, and she goes, but that's my fault because holidays came and I've been maintaining because, like all this stuff came up. And I said, wait a minute, hold up. I said, you start at this weight, you're now at this weight, and you're at your lowest weight after the holidays ever. Like your lowest weight is
That's
after the
amazing.
holidays. I was
Yeah.
like, and this is when she
It's
wasn't
cool.
tracking for a week. She was just starting to probably understand the
That's amazing.
process, how to eat for her body, right? I said, you've
Mhm.
been going out to eat consistently with your family. You've been busy. I said, and you're at your lowest weight. So clearly you're not just doing the things, but you're understanding. I said, that's what everybody wants. I said, and how's your gut
Applying
health?
it.
And
Yeah.
she's like, yeah. She goes, my gut health's never been better and my sleep's never been better. I said, so let's talk about what you've been doing right. And she was like, by the end of the call, she's like,
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. Like I'm like excelling, but
That's
I'm still
amazing,
like
Amanda.
stuck on a number. Yeah. So what you said, Dakota, is absolutely right. You need that person to bring you back in and it take you out of your head and be like,
Hmm.
no, 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 we're not gonna go. You can't measure what someone else is doing. You have to measure what you did progress wise and measure backwards, not forward.
You can't compare yourself to like anytime you compare yourself to outside sources or where you think you should be, you're always
Hmm.
going to feel like that's the quickest way to demotivate yourself because it feels so like for me when I think about I start comparing myself to these other women I'm going to compete against who also got their pro cards at the same time as me in the same year. I start psyching myself out. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I even want to do this. Like, what's the freaking point? Or if I start comparing myself to where I need to be. Like I'm like, well, if I don't win, I'm the worst and I suck. Like if I don't get to this point, or I can't believe my delts aren't bigger yet and my butt's not bigger yet, like, or I haven't lost more body fat yet, I'm immediately gonna feel like what's the point? Like, why am I even doing this? Like, this is so stupid. It's so demotivating and it's so discouraging. But, like you said, Amanda and Dakota, like, when you can take a minute, and mom too, like, when you can come from a place of, okay, number one, I need to just focus on my action steps. Number two, I need to measure backwards. I need to look how far I've actually come. And number three, like, I need to focus on stay in my lane. I need to focus on my journey and nobody else's. And when you can do that, you can look back and you can focus on your journey and, focus on the steps, action steps. It's almost like all of a sudden it's like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm doing a great job. But sometimes, and I would say almost always, you need a coach or someone in your corner to get you back into that place. I know for me, like, my coach is great. He does like mostly macros. I don't really help. He doesn't really work on mindset with me or anything. Sometimes, but not really. That's mostly my husband's job. He does a great job. He kind of realigns me. Like, Brooklyn, like, remember, like, this is where you were and this is what you did and this is where you started. And I feel like sometimes, like, sometimes we don't have people like that. Like, I'm really lucky. I've got a really good husband, but like sometimes you need a coach who reminds you of those things, who can like pull you back and say, "Hey, remember where you were and remember where you're at now." Like what Dakota did with her client. And then Amanda like basically told her client like, "Wait, we just finished the holidays and you're down lower than you've ever been, but you're
Mhm.
sitting here beating yourself up thinking you should be further." Right? Because it's just like we want to compare ourselves to this version of where we think we should be or these other people around us. That's so unmotivating. So I think the comparison complex is a big reason why women struggle to reach their goals, because you do that for long enough. I know I did. I was doing it all last week. And let me tell you, until I talked to Lana, she was great. Until I talked to her, who
A
also got me
second
out of my
cousin.
head. My second cousin,
That's
right? That's so
hilarious.
funny. I know, so funny. I realized and she didn't say anything about like pulling me out of that headspace. Reminded me that I'm like going into my rookie season this year. Like I am a rookie as a pro. And I'm like, oh, that's right. I haven't been doing this as long as you have. It reminded me that, hey, I've actually come pretty far. And sometimes
You
we need
have.
those like people, we need those people in our lives to remind us, like, no, actually, you're doing so much better than you realize. Because we can get really down on ourselves when we aren't. I mean, don't get me wrong. I could name all the places in my life that I thought I'd be further along in, and I'm not there yet. But that's such a demotivating place to live in. Instead, it's like we got to live in a place of gratitude as well. Of like, wow, like look at all that, you've personally accomplished. And so I love the stories of your guys' clients, because I feel like as coaches, like I feel like that's what I do in all my coaching calls. Like I always bring my clients back to real life. Like, hey, remember, you aren't 20 years old living with your parents, and like you can't compare yourself to that girl online because she's 20 years old. She probably lives with her parents and her job is recording social media stuff. Like, you can't compare yourself to her. Remember, like, I'm just going to use this as an example. Remember, Susie, you have 4 kids who need you. You work a full-time job and you're trying to fit in this fitness stuff at the same time. I think you're doing a pretty damn good job. Not to mention, through the holidays, you also lost a pound through Christmas. Like, you know what I mean? So that sometimes can help our clients realign themselves, but not everybody has that. But I think that's where having a good coach is everything.
Having a
So
good coach is
I love what you
huge.
guys said.
Yes, it is everything. It is.
When I first
I
started
think
my
another
fitness,
thing is just remember. Oh, go ahead, Mom.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
You guys got
Go
to
ahead.
rock, paper, scissors it. Just kidding.
You go, Mom.
Go, Coda. Go, Dakota.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, Dakota, you
Uh,
go. Then Mom, you go.
when I first started my
Okay.
fitness
I was
journey, I needed my coach. I really needed him to say, Camille, you can do this. I mean, you can be the comeback kid. So to me, having a coach is crucial for you to move forward. You need that. You need that positivity, because we do get stuck. We get stuck in our own heads, and we've lived life enough that we've seen that it's hard for us to move forward. But to have somebody, like you guys have all said, somebody that believes in you, oh my gosh, that means the world of difference. Like, you can move mountains if you have somebody that believes in you. And my coach was my number one fan. And he just kept saying, you can be the comeback kid. I mean, here I am, 50 years old, but it's important to have, as Brooklyn calls it, the you believers. And sometimes your coach is the only one, because sometimes you don't have a spouse that believes in you or that really doesn't want you to be doing this. And you have to push through a lot of fears and a lot of people that don't want you to start doing what you're doing. So having a good coach, sometimes they're the only one, and it's important. So go ahead, Dakota.
Yeah. So I was gonna say Brooklyn brings up the example of the 20-year-old that you see online. I'm gonna say you don't know what that 20-year-old goes through in their life day to day. Again, like we mentioned at the beginning of this, they post the highlights. They make it look awesome. They share the good things. And you know what? You don't know if they're being 100% transparent about that is the food that they're eating. You also don't know if that's a higher food day for them versus their other days might be all lower. Like you just don't know. And you don't know if they have like mental health issues that they deal with where, you know, I mean, there's just so much you just don't know. So you're not getting the full picture when you're comparing yourself to these people online. You're just not.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
You're getting a little tidbit.
Very
I
true.
even know that's some
You're
of the things
getting,
I post. I'm
yeah.
gonna be honest. Like the things I post, guys, like I'm gonna be straightforward here. Like I'll have clients that will message me like, well, can I just follow the meal plan that you gave for away for free? I'm like, no, because it's not gonna work for you. Like, because
That's
it only worked for
that's
me for like a month and then I went off of it. Or I don't even follow that meal plan because I eat different things now because that was like 2 years ago I put that together. So like guys, sometimes the things that you get, the free resources or the things you see online, it's not telling you the full story because that person, especially if they're continuously improving on their journey, they're constantly making changes and adaptations to their body. Again,
hmm
bringing it back to a coach. This is why having a coach in your corner is so crucial because they understand that, yeah, like those cookie cutter plans and those cookie cutter or those like, what I eat in a day or how I train in a week, like those things are also always evolving, adapting, and changing
Mhm.
based on that client's current goals and what they're working towards in their hormonal health too. Like, let's be honest, as we get a little older and as we age, our hormonal health starts to shift and we have to shift nutrition to match it and training. And so, like, you're right, Dakota, like that's just a highlight reel. And so it's really important to understand, like, you know, just because you follow that person, like I literally had one of my neighbors say this to me. Poor girl. I kind of told her like all the shit I went through this year. And she goes, oh my gosh. She goes, I would have never guessed that you had that kind of
hmm
like a year. And I'm like, yeah, I guess like people don't look at people because they see me online showing up all the time um in a different way. So you got to understand like sometimes you see someone and you're like Dakota said and you're like, "Oh, well they've got their shit together. What's wrong with me?" Like I had one of my moms say to me, she was getting frustrated during Christmas because she goes, "Well, my house isn't as decorated as that and my wrapping doesn't look as good and my table settings don't look good." And I'm like, I literally said to her and I said, "Let me tell you something." I said, "I've known some really well-known like content creators and people who have like millions and millions of followers. Their shit isn't even that close together either because they're just showing you the highlight reels. They're
Yep.
just showing you the good things." And so I think that's a really, yeah, I love that, Dakota.
Well,
So I think like let's bring it back to like comparing our bodies. We can compare our situations, our bodies. It's really easy to compare just about anything. But remember, like as women, like you're not failing. You're not doing it wrong. You probably just need to keep being consistent. I would say like if what you're doing isn't really working, then maybe you do need to work with a coach. I would say 90% of what I do with my clients is mindset
Mhm.
because
hmm
that's what a lot of women lack and they miss is mindset and reframing. Because even myself, I get stuck in my own head. And if I didn't have someone to pull me out of that, I would get stuck and I would quit. Do you guys see that happen often? Like where your clients are on the verge of quitting? I know I had a client who was literally on the verge of quitting. I
hmm
said, I'm not going to let you quit until you get on the phone with me and tell me what the fuck is going on. And she signed up with me for another like year after that. And she goes, and she to this day is like, you're my favorite person. Thank you for not quitting on me. And I'm like, well, I know you can do this. Like, I'm not going to let you quit because I believe in you, but I'm not going to let you quit. So, like, sometimes having someone to be like, no, like, you're not going to quit.
to
Not today.
yeah, to talk you off that ledge because you can easily talk yourself into, quitting. It's your mind's going to give up so much quicker than your body is, and
Mhm.
it's if you don't have anybody to help you get through that, it's so easy to just quit. But if you have somebody who's on your side and helping you be like, hey, no, this like Brooklyn, I love that your client was like, I mean, she probably so appreciative of that now that you didn't let her quit. That is so cool.
I had to like force her to get on the phone with me. She sent me like two
Yeah.
texts and I texted her back. And I said, okay, cool. Well, you got to get on the phone with me and tell me what's going on because I'm not going to let you just walk away. Because I care about my clients. Like, and I know my clients, if I have a client who just wants to quit out of nowhere, I'm like,
Mhm.
something bad is happening. Like there's some shit going on in your life that's making you feel like you can't accomplish anything and all you can do is focus on this one thing. And I know for most women, I actually had a call like this with one of my clients. She said to me today, she goes, I don't know what it is, but anytime I start working on myself, there's really hard shit comes up and I have to like, I don't know what it is. It's every single time. And I said, well, maybe. And I asked her, I said, do you believe in God? Do you believe in the universe? She's like, well, I believe in God. And I said, well, maybe it's God trying to level you up as a person. And when you are going through, like, you're trying to work on yourself and you have like hard shit coming your way, if you have someone in your corner to like, again, not just like keep you off the ledge, but like to keep you going, motivate, not just motivated, but keep reminding you to show up regardless of what's going on. I mean, that's life changing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that's how you get to the point you want to get to. But for a lot of us, like I know for me, I've had to hire that out. I've had to hire therapists, I've had to hire coaches. Yes, I have a great husband, but not do I always want to talk to him about all the self-doubts that I have in my head. And sometimes, yeah, we do have to, I don't know, work with someone who can talk us off that ledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you
Yeah.
share, Brooklyn, about how you struggle with this because I know from so many women and so many clients I talk to talk about you, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, her physique is like, goals, and she probably like knows like never has any self-doubt. And I just want to feel that confident." I'm like, yeah, she feels confident. I said, but she has to work on that every day. I said, and she had to start at a place where she didn't feel confident. I'm like, nobody's life is perfect. I said she understands what it's like to not feel great in your skin, and that's why we are good coaches, because all of us here have personally been there. And I'm not saying that a good coach isn't one that doesn't understand, but if they're like, some people are just genetically blessed. They can eat a million calories, never have any issues, or put muscle on easily. But honestly, from talking to the women I've talked to and my clients, it's like the people that have been there in that dark place that can pull you out because they're like, hey, I've been there. I know exactly how you're feeling. I feel like those are the moments that women really need to get out of their head. Like, it's one thing to be like, yeah, like, vent to me, what's going on? But if, like, you're like, I've never been there, I don't understand. I mean, you can't relate to them, like, how they're feeling. That's going to show eventually, depending on, even if the results are, like, amazing. But, like, if they're stuck mindset wise, they need someone that's going to be like, hey, let me get down in the well with you, pull you out because I've been there and I know what it's like when you feel like you're all alone in this dark space in your head and you can't get out.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love,
I love that.
Amanda, that you were talking about confidence a lot. And confidence is built. It's not just there. Confidence is built and you have to work on it. And it comes through self-talk. It's talking to yourself positively and reminding yourself the things that you're doing well. It's measuring backwards and reminding yourself how far you've come. Confidence comes from those things. And it doesn't just happen. You have to build it. You have to work on it and you have to continuously work on it to keep your confidence. Like it doesn't just happen.
Mm-mm, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're so right. It doesn't. It's like people, like you said, they look at a highlight reel and they're like, "Oh my God, she looks so confident. She looks so happy. She looks like it comes easy to her." And I'm like, so when
It could
Brooklyn
be fake.
posts, yeah, well, when Brooklyn posts things like, "Hey, this was the hardest day of my life," and people relate to that, it's because women want to feel like it's not just them. So if you find a coach that never really opens up to you, they never really like say, yeah, they don't really like divulge anything about them struggling, I feel like that's a red flag a little bit. If everything's just always easy peasy for them, because
Or
it
yeah.
kind of makes the client hold back. Like they open up more when we open up and say, hey, this is what happened to me. This is what I've been through. So I get how you're feeling. And then that makes them feel more confident in themselves and be like, I could do this too.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think I
sorry.
feel like that's Oh.
My cat decided he wanted to add
Oh.
his 2 cents.
He's like, I
He
agree.
he said he
Um,
agrees full heartedly.
I think like with that, Amanda, I think it is important to and this is why we require that someone like we'll have people that reach out to us and they're like, "Oh, I want to work with you. Oh, I just want to do text only and I don't want to get on a call." No, you have to get on a phone call and make sure that like you align with us like as coaches and the way that we do things and our methodology. Um because we want to make sure that like this works in the sense of like, you are able to open up because the last thing I want to do is work with a client who is really struggling really bad and they never tell me anything. This was one of the things I had with one of my clients for 4 months. No, it was like 3 months. She was getting on calls with me and it was so surface level. And I hate surface level coaching calls. I absolutely hate them. I my clients aren't like that anymore. I feel like we've done a really good job about vetting out those kind of women. Um, and finally, like, I get a text from her. She's like, "Oh, I don't think this is going to work for me." And I finally got her on the phone. And turns out she's been going through just like a shitstorm. I'm like, "Why haven't you been telling me what's been going on in your life?" Like, she was struggling with binge eating. She was struggling. She goes, "Honestly, like, I just didn't want to burden you with it." And I'm like, "What burden is that for me to
That's why
carry?
we're
Like,
here.
I want to help you. Like, let me help you. It's not a burden. It's an opportunity for me to help you and coach you." And if you have a coach who is a good coach. They will take anything you say, any struggle you have, and they're going to help turn that into not just a positive, but help you build that into a strength. And work on it. If it's I would say like a bad coach is going to brush it under the rug. A
Hmm.
bad coach would be like, I don't know why you're struggling with that, but like, anyways, like,
Or
what are your
shame you
macros
for
this
it.
week? Or
Yeah.
shame you for it. Like, oh, I don't know why you're struggling with binge eating. That's really weird. Like, what kind of
Yeah.
coach does that?
Yeah.
Like, that's
Could
so
you
terrible.
imagine?
I know that would be I've had coaches like that, I won't lie. I've experienced that myself. And it
Mm.
feels it's almost like you go to someone. I've had this happen too, where I've gone to someone and said, like, I'm really struggling. It's really bad. And they're just like, oh, like, that's fine. Like, you're okay.
Yeah. You're like,
And then
no,
you just
actually,
kind
I'm
of
not
sit there.
okay. Yeah.
I'm
I am
actually
here to
not okay. And
help.
I just told you I'm not okay. So like, I think like kind of coming back to comparison complex, like when it comes to your body, when it comes to comparison, I think the four things we pulled out was um, measuring backwards. Um, what are some of the other things? I think everybody said something unique and I really liked it. Oh,
Action
focusing on
steps.
your action steps is what
Hmm.
Dakota said. So measuring backwards, which means measure from where you started to where you are now, or um, really just like if you can't figure that out, ask people around you. Don't just ask people around you who are assholes. Like ask people around you who love you and care about you. Like truly. And then what are some of the other things? I think Amanda, you said something. Mom, you said trust the process, trust the
Hmm.
journey, right?
Someone to talk you
Focus
off the ledge whenever you're having a really like negative moment.
and having a you believer in your corner. Like I think if you do those
Hmm.
four things, like, and I won't lie to you guys, like the comparison complex, it's never going to fully go away. um you're always going to have moments of comparing yourself to other people. Unfortunately, I do it in every area of my life. I do it with my parenting, my mom, my mothering. I do it with my business. I do it with my fitness. We do it in every area, but the important thing is that you learn how to get out of it faster and it doesn't take you down quick. Because if you stay in that comparison complex for more than a few hours or days, you'll throw your hands up and say, I quit. And this is where I
Oh
find a
yeah.
lot of women do quit, is because they compare themselves for too long. But this is where, like, if you're one of our clients listening, talk to your coach about it. Guys, we're not going to shame you for it. We're going to help you work through it. And
Hmm.
help you like overcome this so you can overcome it continuously and not continuously sabotage your goals. Um, so yeah,
But that's
anything
why
else you guys wanted
having,
to add?
I was just gonna say, that's why having a coach, a you believer, somebody in your corner that you can talk to those things with is so important. It's so
Hmm.
important.
Also, I like when you say measure backwards, a lot of times if I have a client that's really stuck on like looking at everybody else's journey that she doesn't know anything about because they don't put the bad stuff out there, I'll say take a break off social
Mhm.
media or unfollow those people just for even for a little bit. They're not going to
Mhm.
know. You're not going to offend them. Just unfollow. And I want you this week for your homework to go back through your old photos when you weren't as happy in your skin and compared to now. And it's crazy the difference. I'll even catch myself as a coach doing that. We still have moments we need to like, readjust, reframe. And when you go back through like I remember this year I didn't like how I looked in pictures and you look at yourself now and you're like, oh my gosh, I almost forgot because we're so stuck in tunnel vision of I want to do
Yep.
better, I want to look better. And then when you look at behind like how far you've come and how you're like, your confidence or like your gut health, your sleep, your stress, your understanding of like so many things, nutrition, exercise, and like it's empowering. Like
Yep.
as a coach, like you need to find, or as a client, you need to find a coach that helps empower you in those moments and not makes you feel like, it's dismissed.
Yeah. I think you can do that in any area of your life. You can, look back at where you were and then look at where you are now. And sometimes I have to go way far back. Like if I looked back 6 months ago, I'd be like, oh damn, like I'm up like 8 pounds, but I have to sometimes go back to like, no, when I was struggling with binge eating, when I was like really to the point where I could barely like lift weights because I was so weak. Like I have to go back to a place where I had a terrible relationship with food and I had a lot of like negative self-talk and a lot like I had absolutely zero confidence, which is like, okay, I have to sometimes go back like 10 years ago. But that still allows me to remember, okay, Brooklyn, you've actually come really far. So wherever I would say go back to the worst place that you ever were and compare from there because I promise you that's going to motivate you
Oh
versus
yeah.
comparing yourself to being like, oh, well, I was crushing it in November and then freaking Thanksgiving and Christmas just really effed
Mhm.
me up. I'm like, well, why are you doing that? It was the holidays. Don't compare yourself. That's unusual time of the year. Go back to maybe 5 years ago. Or I always tell my clients, well, what were you doing before we started coaching together? Like I had a call today with a client. She's like, "Ugh, I just had a really bad weekend." And I said, okay, what happened? Her dog was like in the hospital for like 3 days, like had like surgery. It was like super intense.
Mm.
Anyways, she told me the old me would have drank myself into a stupor. I would have had all the potato chips. And she goes, I didn't have a single drink. I didn't eat potato chips. I walked around the hospital. I didn't get a lot of sleep, but I ate like the fruit and I ate like the healthy things that they had. And then but then
Mhm.
she was so focused that her weight was up because she didn't sleep for 3 days. She goes, but my weight's up, Brooklyn. I'm so mad. I'm like, did you just miss anything you just said, or was I the only one that heard that? And it's like all she could. I know Amanda's laughing because Amanda knows like this is what happens with our client calls, right? And I'm like, I swear you just told me all the good you did, and then you went back to the bad thing that happened. And I
Mhm.
said, okay, honey, so your weight went up a few pounds because you didn't sleep for 3 days straight. And she goes, yeah, but
And
it was down before
stress.
all this happened. And stress, right? So much stress. And then she goes, well, yeah, but like, I just don't know why it's down because I walked a ton and I was barely eating. And I'm like, well, you were really stressed out. You didn't sleep a lot. And I said, but also let's go back to what you just did. You just told me that the old you would have literally like drank yourself into a stupor. Like you would have drank for days and days and days from the stress and you would have just ate your face off. And you didn't do that. I said, that's incredible. I said, do you not see how that compounds? I said, this was a big life stressor. Your dog was in the hospital for 3 days and you didn't sleep for like 3 days. And so like I had to remind her and bring her back like, hey, I know your weight's up, but like that's going to come down. So stop stressing out about that. You need to instead focus on the fact that your habits have changed. The old you would have drank and ate, you're not doing that anymore. So for a lot of women who are stuck in that comparison complex, like maybe you're focusing on the wrong things too, right? Maybe you need to refocus on the good habits that you're establishing. Like yesterday, I'll use myself as an example. Started my period today. It's a few days early, and I didn't think I was going to start. I thought I was supposed to start like Wednesday. And so yesterday I was so hungry. I mean, I could have ate my arm off. And I was like, give me all the chocolate. And then I'd eat the chocolate. Still wasn't enough chocolate. I want more chocolate. I want more chocolate. The old me would have just ate mindlessly. I would have just literally gone ravage style eating. And like I would have had everything. But I got to a point where I said, okay, Brooklyn, I know you're hungry, but like maybe you just go take a freaking nap because you didn't sleep during the weekend. That's a huge improvement. The old me would have said, fuck it, I don't care. I'm gonna eat everything. Right. I feel like for a lot of women, they forget to like look back at how far they came and where they are now. So I think to kind of like wrap up this, I'm kind of just talking now. To wrap up this coaching call or this podcast, um, what is like one piece of advice you guys would either give to your current clients or women listening to this of how to overcome the comparison complex and how to just get into a better headspace? Like one simple thing they can do.
See
Measure
your strengths.
backwards. I love that's always my go-to.
Measure backwards for Dakota. What was that, Mom?
See your strengths. You've got to see the good things that you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Focusing
And
on your action steps, kind of aligning with the comparing backwards. So like a lot of women don't understand that. They're like, that's confusing. Look back to where you started and look at where you're at now. That's it. That's all it is. Stop comparing yourself to where you think you should be or other people. Compare backwards. And then mom is basically saying the same thing. Look at all the good things
Hmm.
you're doing right now, all the action steps you're taking, kind of coming back to what Dakota said first time. And then what about you, Amanda?
just you girls said it perfectly, but just to add, like, yeah, like remember, like we're all unique. So what one works for one woman does not work for the other. Doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. Especially if you're doing on your own, chances are you don't know what you don't know. So that's where having a coach and someone who like specializes in creating something for you and not just a cookie cutter plan that anybody can follow, but not everyone's going to see results. Or worst case scenario, they take you way low calories and then you're way worse off whenever you're done because now you're starving, you're inflamed, your gut health's off, your hormones, and now you feel like it's just you, but you just didn't have the right help. So that's why when you get with someone who cares, especially like women empowering other women, and you feel like you can let your guard down more, that's where Fierce Queen comes in because that's why we're all about women empowering women. We know like there's certain things that as wonderful as our husbands are, there's certain things that they don't understand because they're not in our shoes.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So really measuring backwards, looking at your current action steps and the things you are actually doing. And then oh, why did it just slip my mind what you just said, Amanda? It was so great.
Just
Sorry, I'm
basically
still
about
running on
like
low sleep.
no, just about basically like being like remember like your journey is unique, and so you can only compare yourself to
Hmm.
you and not other people's journey because everybody is completely different in so many ways.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think just at the end of the day, if you're struggling with comparison, like, and you also mentioned coaching, like make sure you have a coach in your corner who can talk you off the ledge. Because honestly, if I didn't have people in my corner to talk me off the ledge, I would have been off the ledge like years ago. I would be
Same.
in all aspects of my life. I mean, in my business, I can't tell you the amount of time I've had business coaches be like, Brooklyn, you need to chill out. Like it's okay. Like things will get better. And fitness and everything. So yeah, again, like if you guys are whoever's listening to this, if you're interested in coaching, message us coaching or comment below coaching. But I hope that, if nothing else, like I hope that this podcast today was helpful for those of you who are struggling with comparison. Everybody struggles with it. So just remember you're not alone, but it also is helpful to hear other women talk about it too. So anything else you guys wanted to add before we end this podcast today?
No, perfect.
Okay, awesome. All right, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your week and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Bye.